Maybe you've got someone in your life whose emotions can quickly shift from being okay to being hurt, angry, or outraged. It'll probably be hard to continue any conversation at that point, with either one or both of you shutting down or escalating more and more into the mode of a hot-tempered fight. You might find that once this person is outraged, no matter what you say, it doesn't land well. You feel stuck, cornered into the role of the culprit. Stay tuned to learn 3 communication steps to help you out in these kinds of interactions and relationships. Hi, everyone. Welcome here. I'm Maika. I'm a psychologist, and this is Becoming an Expert at Self-Leadership. So we're all different when it comes to our emotional stability, and it's very helpful to be aware of that. With this awareness, you can adapt your behavior to the emotional stability of the person you're talking to, and that can help you both reach the goals that you have for the interaction and relationship. The emotionally less stable person in your life may be someone who is temperamental, feisty, hot-tempered. They may struggle with self-esteem or attachment security, or their emotional instability may be connected to an emotionally unstable personality disorder or traits of it, like borderline personality disorder. The 3 helpful steps for interacting with someone who is emotionally less stable that I want to share with you next come from Gerald J. Kreisman, who is a psychiatrist and borderline personality disorder specialist. You can read more about these 3 steps in his book, Talking to a Loved One with Borderline Personality Disorder, which is a really great book with lots of practical dialogue examples. The 3 steps spell out the acronym SET, which stands for self-statement of support. The E stands for empathy, and the T stands for truth. If you learn to include these 3 ingredients into your communication with the emotionally unstable person in your life, it'll increase the likelihood of continued emotionally stable interactions. It's not a guarantee. That doesn't exist in the world of communication and relationships. But these 3 steps are very powerful, and on average, they do work. These 3 steps of SET prevent negative emotional shifts, and they also help the emotionally unstable person to calm back down after a negative emotional shift. They also help you to stand your ground, maintain healthy boundaries, and avoid being cast into the role of the culprit that's responsible for everything bad that's happening to the emotionally unstable person. A self-statement of support means expressing your concern and care. It can sound like, I want to help, or I'm concerned about this situation you're going through. Empathy means to gain an understanding of the other person's perspective and then acknowledging that by putting your understanding into words. It can sound like, this must be a difficult time for you, or it sounds like you're feeling desolate right now. Self-statements of support and empathy don't mean you have to agree with everything the other person said, and this is often misunderstood. What you're saying with these statements is, I want to help and I understand. You're not saying, I agree with everything you said or your perspective on the situation. Often, this is why we make so few self-statements of support and empathy statements, because we're more concerned about how we disagree and how we can get the other person to see it our way. But this focus doesn't contribute to the emotionally friendly atmosphere of the conversation. For that, you need self-statements of support and empathy statements. So next, you'll be moving on to the last part of SET, the T, truth. But before you do that, make sure to give support and empathy enough time and space. Make sure that your dialogue partner really absorbed the support and empathy before moving on. Then, when you do move on to T, truth, it's time to talk about the practical options, choices, next steps, or probable consequences that are relevant in a situation. Truth means to express what you can and want to do to help, and also to highlight the other person's participation, responsibility, and agency. This is often the most difficult part of SET because it highlights individual responsibility. So it's really important to voice the truth statement in a soft, gentle, calm tone of voice, and also to phrase it in a non-accusatory, non-blaming way so that your dialogue partner doesn't get the impression that there's a negative intent, a negative emotional intent behind your words. The T can sound like, we need to find a solution for this situation. What I can do to help is, what do you want to do? Maybe at a later time we can discuss the things you want to consider in this situation. In the past, it's strained our relationship whenever your cousin visited. What can we do differently this time so that doesn't happen again? For the time being that you live here with me, I need to know you're willing to support me with cleaning the apartment. If you're not, you'll have to find another place to live. Maybe you want to consider seeing a therapist. I want to collect more information before we decide what to do. I'll get back to you after I've checked what happened. I may not be able to invite you over every week anymore, now that I've taken on the responsibility of the new project at work. But we'll always be friends, and I look forward to meeting in our lunch breaks. It seems like you're pushing me away to see if I'll leave. I won't. It's not necessary for you to test me like this. I love you. We have different ways of doing things. Let's see how we can give each other the space we both need to be ourselves. It's not within my sphere of agency to protect you from the reality of limited resources. This is something we all need to learn to manage and live with. The three components of SET don't necessarily have to follow right after one another in one long statement. It can fit more naturally into the flow of a conversation and also be easier for your dialogue partner to absorb if you make these statements separately in a back and forth. That also gives you the chance to see if your dialogue partner is absorbing what you're saying or if they need more time, and if you want to repeat something. For example, if you notice they're not absorbing your support statement, you could say something like, after everything you've been through, it's probably hard to believe that someone wants to help, but I do want to support you. I'm not going anywhere. While you communicate with these SET statements, make sure to avoid directly confrontative statements like, that's not what happened. Also avoid statements that have or could have a negative connotation about your dialogue partner, like, that's a crazy idea, or you're overreacting. And then remember to check in with your own level of arousal and volume of speech. Whenever you notice yourself tensing up, relax your muscles. Whenever you notice that you're speaking more loudly, quickly, or that you're interrupting your dialogue partner, slow back down. If you notice that your interaction has become very heated, that you're having a hard time soothing yourself and formulating statements of support and empathy, or that these statements aren't working, they're not coming across, take a break from truth statements altogether. You might even want to take a break from the interaction and come back later in 20 minutes when you've both calmed back down. Another alternative is to direct the conversation onto an aspect of the conflict that's less charged and see if you can make progress there first. Also, make sure to maintain your self-esteem. The emotionally unstable person may reflexively use you to manage their own inner pain and make you out to be a horrible person that ruined a situation for them. This isn't personal and often not based on facts or based on a distorted version of facts. So make sure not to allow that version that's being painted of you to rub off on your own view of yourself. Get time with people that see the good in you and understand what you're going through. That could be friends or a mental health professional. Spend time with topics and activities that interest and nourish you. I'll leave it here for now. I hope this will help you next time you interact with the emotionally unstable person in your life. Till next time, take care. And remember, we're all different when it comes to our emotional stability, and factoring this in can improve your relationships with emotionally less stable people.